Hello out there, everybody. This is Andre, the Game I Dig. I thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another Gamer's Thoughts live video from me. And I want to go over a misconception that I am noticing everywhere, and I mean literally everywhere. And this is something that I've talked about before. This is something other people have talked about before, and people have jumped back and forth on different sides of this. And that's that Nintendo is being reactionary with the situation dealing with Metroid Prime, Federation Force, and AM2R. People believe that Nintendo showing off Samus Returns and giving the teaser for Metroid Prime 4 is reactionary to fan outcry. Here's the problem with that. Here's a big problem with that. If it was reactionary to fan outcry, then we would have gotten information, one, a lot sooner on both of those projects. There would not have been a wait to tell us, because they would have been like, well, we have Metroid Prime 4 in the works right now. They would have told us back in, August? They would have told us back in August about Samus Returns while it was still in development at the time. They would have been like, oh, we're taking this down because we already have one going. No, they're not going to say that. There's no reason for them to say that. They're just going to take it down because they know that there's a similar product coming from them. They're just going to take it down. That's how it is. That's what they do to every fan project that is similar to something they're working on. With Federation Force, if it was the case that Nintendo was reactionary and going to put out Metroid Prime 4 because of the outcry against Federation Force, guess what they would have done? They would have told us, probably even before Federation Force launched, that there was going to be a Metroid Prime 4. How is that not hard to understand? And the fact that they made Metroid Prime Federation Force in a way that it ties into Metroid Prime 4 should make it even more obvious. They had already had this plan in place. This is what I'm saying. Okay. Think about Sega and how Sega reacted to things happening. Oh, Sony's putting out the PS1. And Sega's about to put out the Sega Saturn, but we didn't make it so that it could perform 3D graphics, which you would think was stupid because they put out Virtua Fighter in the arcades, is where Sony got the idea from. Sega literally gave them the idea, and they were backing out on their own idea. So what happened to the Saturn? They rushed in an extra CPU and a couple other pieces that ended up not messing up the console itself, but it made it so much harder to produce games for it. It made it so much more difficult. What's up, Liger and Sidekick? It literally made it more difficult to produce games for that platform. Even though, hardware-wise, the Sega Saturn was still superior to the PlayStation, it was at the PlayStation's advantage. It was at the PlayStation's advantage that the Saturn was so difficult to work with. And at the time, the N64 was doing cartridges, and a lot of companies wanted to jump away from cartridges for spatial limitations. Not that the N64 itself was a weaker platform. Actually, the PlayStation was the legitimately weakest platform of the 5th generation. And the same could be said for the 6th generation with the PS2, as opposed to the GameCube and the Xbox, unless you count the Dreamcast, and then the Dreamcast would be the weakest. So that's just me looking at this situation and thinking it out. Hello, Lisa Howard. Now, that's me thinking it out. Again, if they were reactionary, they could have told us this immediately. But yeah, fan outcry probably let them know, hey, they really want this. Let's try to see if we can get this done a lot sooner. But they didn't rush to tell everybody about it. That's where I'm saying fan outcry didn't have as much of an impact as people might want to think it did. Yes, it's important to let a company know what you want, but if let's just go for example, if Splatoon, who wanted Splatoon? Who wanted Splatoon before it became a thing? Who begged for a game like Splatoon before it became a thing? Who begs for a game like ARMS, which just launched today, before it became a thing? No one. Who begs for a game like Pikmin before it became a thing? No one. Who begged for a game like Fire Emblem before it became a thing? No one. See the pattern here? This is a pattern. Like, yes, fans will jump on a franchise that they love and say, okay, I want more of this. But you can't use fan outcry as the reason that they did what they did. They were developing those games already. Well, at least Samus Returns, they were already developing. Metroid Prime 4, they probably just started development on it. And that's because they needed time to put together a team. And it's not like this isn't something that Kensuke Tanabe didn't put out there. He told everyone this 3 fucking years ago. It's like we're not going to have a team ready in time to get another Metroid Prime game out for the Nintendo Wii U. He literally told everybody that they would not have the time to get it out. So why is this? Why is it that people? It's like this is forgotten. All this stuff is forgotten. It's like clean slate completely. Like we just got mind wiped. Like Men in Black showed up with that little pen, hit the button, everybody forgot every fucking thing. Unless you had the sunglasses on. I guess I must have had the sunglasses on because I didn't forget that shit. So I'm like, just sitting back here thinking, yes, fan outcry is a hell of a thing. It will get things localized like Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii. Fan outcry helped that because that game was already done. Fan outcry helped games like Project Cross Zone get localized to the West because that game was already done. See what I'm saying here is there are things that were already in the works. There are things that were already worked on that fan outcry helped get it spread to other regions. But fan outcry is never, as far as my awareness is, ever gotten a game project off the ground. Hell, Shenmue, we still have heard jack shit about, even though they've done a Kickstarter for that. We've heard nothing about that. There's a couple other games. I think another one is Psychonauts. We haven't heard anything about in a while, and that game was, I think, recently kickstarted too, wasn't it? And my kid's trying to break in the room, even though I told him to wait a few minutes. But I'm just like, overall, think about what I'm saying and where it's going. When has Nintendo made a game solely because fans begged for it? I can think of not a time that actually happened. But the bad thing is, this is a repeat of history. This happened during the Wii U, where we had long periods of time where there wasn't a major game coming out for the Wii U. Long periods of time where there wasn't a major game coming out for the Wii U. People bitched and complained about what games they wanted, and Nintendo started putting those games out. But Star Fox, for example, because everybody in the chat keeps bringing it up. I was already working on that, guys. Let me make my way to it. Thank you, people. But Star Fox Zero, for example, people begged, pleaded, and complained about wanting another Star Fox game. Even though people don't typically go buy Star Fox, they begged for it. Like, if you begged for Star Fox and you didn't know what the fuck it was, you should have just not talked. Really, you shouldn't have said anything. Because you didn't know what the franchise was. You didn't know the essence of it. You just asked for it because other people were asking for it. And then when it came out, you just said, oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. Even though the game itself is pretty decent. It's not a bad game. It's not... And people not being able to adjust the controls, that's just a matter of their motor skills. Their motor skills aren't up to par for the game. That's all I can look at it as. Like, if the game works and I can play it and I can pick it up and play it with no problem whatsoever, and it's not like I haven't played video games all my life. I can pick it up and play it no problem whatsoever. But then there's There are kids who can pick this game up and play it no problem whatsoever, and who haven't been playing video games. So to me, that's an issue with your own particular motor skills and you fighting the way the game should be played as to how you want it to play. Those two things don't work out together. Wow! I'm in the middle of doing a video and you guys decide to make a bunch of noise? Yep, they decided to do that. My kids are pains in the butt. But I'm going to finish this out. Okay. Off the door! Damn. I'm just going to finish this out because they obviously are calling for my attention right now. Look. I don't like, and this isn't about me trying to pick with people or anything, but in the greater scheme of things, when you look at it, it's quite obvious that there's some stuff that has been done. Oh, and I'm just going to use Metroid 2 again, for example. Return of Samus Returns. I can't say Return of Samus because Return of Samus is the original. Samus Returns. If Samus Returns was a reactionary thing, I first of all, I don't even think it would have been a 3DS game. I think it would have been a Switch game. For one. For two, it wouldn't look anywhere near as polished as it did this over the last few days at E3. It would not have looked anywhere near as polished, and they wouldn't have had the combat system and all this stuff set up and ready. There's no way that all that stuff would have been done from August, from August when people started complaining about it, to now, to June. That's a little less than 10 months' time. You mean to tell me they started the game up, did all the coding, did all the artwork, did all the music and arranging and things, got all the physics and stuff down in 10 months' time, while completely rebuilding the game and adding in functionality to it that was never there in the first place? This isn't like Wind Waker HD where they already had a base to work. They had pretty much a full base to work from. And they just had to tweak a few things and fix some artwork issues here and there. This was literally an 8-bit game being turned into a 2.5D game from scratch. It's not, no. The time period didn't, no. I know Wind Waker HD was an achievement in and of itself that only took 6 months, but this couldn't have happened in 6 months. This would have taken too much planning to do in the 6-month time period. Oh, I said 6. I mean 10 months. This would have taken too much time. It would have taken too much planning to do in 10 months' time. To me, that tells me, yeah, they were already working on this for a while. So again, that's why my statement still stands about them putting the takedown notice for AM2R. Because they already had something in the works. Again, same thing I pointed out with Mario Maker. They already, with the Mario website, they already had something in the works. Why is this so hard for people to believe when it literally happens constantly? Again, if Nintendo doesn't have a similar project going up and you put out a fan game, you're likely not going to get hit. You likely aren't. And there are tons of them out that I've not seen anybody complain about a takedown notice for. This is just only the ones that are really well known and popular that people decide that they're going to go ahead and then they'll complain about it. Just the fact that Samus Returns has 360 degrees of aiming in that game, there is no way that could have been done in that short period of time, because that literally requires an art asset for every one of those angles. It requires an art asset for every one of those angles. If they don't have that, then there's no way that could have been done. That takes a lot of time. And I think people don't want to understand that. Or they are forgetful. Well, I'm going to be here to remind you. You might not like me for it, but I'm going to be here to remind you. But that's it. I'm going to go now. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, please enjoy your games and peace out. And I hope that y'all like that thumbnail.